apparently they're looking hard at Joe Brady. I don't think they'll hear back from him until the top 3 positions are filled. I think, and as we said, if you're a head coaching candidate, you probably want to go to the teams that are easiest to either hit the ground running with or to make your own right away. And while Deshaun Watson's nice, the rest of that team is a nightmare to fix on the Texans.
Well, not to mention the Texans pretty much gave away the house before Bill O'Brien left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he completely ruined
But that's what I was saying about the possibility. Like, when you're talking about a coach that you can say has the head coaching experience, and if you need to throw under the bus 2-3 years into it, that's the same reason why Marvin Lewis and Jim Caldwell would be considered for interviews for that team.
Yeah.
Like, they would be fit there because Marvin Lewis, I mean, how long did he have to play the punching bag in Cincinnati before, we're going to get a quarterback? We'll see you later.
Yeah. And honestly, I do, Marvin Lewis, I don't like him as a coaching candidate right now. Maybe, another few seasons off. But as much flack as he gets, you do have to place a lot of blame on Cincinnati's ownership because they are a cheap ownership. They are not willing to spend on anything. So there's only so much you can do with ownership like that.
Yeah, you're right. So we got like 7 minutes before we got to go to break, and we got 2 other teams to get through. So just real quick, float names out. Dan Beebe, Dan O'Shea.
Anthony Lynn.
Okay.
Lynn, I do agree, does deserve another shot. I think you said it right. He didn't really get a full fair shake. He's got a pretty good record with the Chargers, but obviously really needs to work on his clock management skills, among other things. Maybe a year break would be good for him to kind of reevaluate and readjust. But I do think he's got some good head coach qualities. But if they can get Joe Brady, I think that would be a nice fit for them. I do kind of like that hire. I would like him on the Jets as well. I certainly wouldn't hate that hire.
Of course. The next team is the Atlanta Falcons. They also have a negative cap space. Dan Quinn fired. So, just quick ideas. I feel like after Dan Quinn was fired, the team really tried to turn things around. They played competitive in a lot more games under interim coach Raheem Morris. I think give Raheem Morris the shot. Give him another year at head coach.
I kind of agree that Raheem Morris actually did do a really good job, and if anyone as an interim coach deserves a chance, it's probably him. But this is another spot that O'Shea was just talking about. This wouldn't be a bad landing spot for Joe Brady. I mean, he's still got Matt Ryan if they're going to keep him for the next year, and then you can start looking at actually building your offense. And, he has a good plan with when you look at McCaffrey when he's on the field, and maybe he can turn back around Todd Gurley into the back that he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like giving Raheem Morris another shot. I think he showed enough to be able to say that wasn't just a head coach firing bump. I think he showed some consistency. If not him, I could see them taking a hard look at I don't think the enemy falls to them. I don't think they have a shot, although some people have said that, that would be a good fit.
It's a good spot because they need a quarterback.
They do, but you do have one more year of Matt Ryan to see if you can, work on that.
Which is, it's perfect, though, because Ryan has said that he's getting close to the end of his career. If you get a quarterback in the first or second round, you can do like what they did with Pat Mahomes. Be like, all right, we're going to sit you. You're going to learn from one of the best currently in the game, and it'll be yours in a year or two. I feel like that's a really good thing for the Falcons.
Right. think there's also an argument for Robert Saleh, or however you say his name, to the 49ers DC to go there. They already have a pretty strong defense, and he's shown the ability to get the best out of the defense. And if he gets a good OC, then maybe that could turn the team around. I do think they do. I do think they have to see who falls again. I don't think they're going to be the first to sign a coach unless they really like an interview with one of the quote unquote second tier guys, because it's impossible to say for sure who's top tier coach. But the top candidates, I think we've kind of mentioned for the top three most attractive destinations already. So I would think maybe one of those quote unquote second tier guys would go to them.
All right, and Dan Beebe, real quick, because we have one more team. We got like 2 minutes.
Give Raheem one more chance.
Okay, and then our last team is the Detroit Lions. In my opinion, the only coach that makes sense for these guys is Jason Garrett.
I mean, that's an interesting choice. I actually think that the guy that was just mentioned a moment ago, Robert Saleh, out of the 49ers, just because if you look at the Detroit's recent drafts, they've got a lot of young draft capital that's been spent on defensive guys, and they really could do some damage if coached well. And if he wants to lean on that, not knowing what the status is going to be moving forward with Matthew Stafford and a lot of questions on that offense, you can lean on running the ball with DeAndre Swift and your cavalcade of running backs and just shore up your defense and just try and put it together.
Yeah. Dan O'Shea, Dan Beebe, real quick.
I'm going to throw in Eberflus into there. I don't think Garrett would be a bad idea if he's learned some things. But I'd take a shot at Eberflus, I think.
Okay.
He could be a nice fit there.
And
roll with Jason Garrett.
Yeah, Jason Garrett makes the most sense in my opinion. Boring team, boring coach. I mean, he'll, again, another attractive kind of, because Matthew Stafford's not going to be there much longer. You can bring in a quarterback that's a project. The same thing with a lot of these teams. But I feel like Jason Garrett did his best work when he had a quarterback that was a pocket passer, and Matthew Stafford's not running much, All right. So this ends the first half of our show. We will be back in just about 2 minutes. You are listening to Dan D'Antoni Sports. And welcome back to part 2 of Dan D'Antoni Sports. Guys, we just talked about the head coaching vacancies and who we think should fill them. Now we get into the first round of the NFL playoffs. Now, there is a new format for how the playoffs are done. There are 7 teams in each conference now. Only the number 1 seed gets a bye. And it is really interesting, the matchups. So you guys want to start in the AFC or the NFC? All right, you know what? Let's not even break it down. Let's by AFC, NFC. We'll go with, I have the Washington Post up listing the games. We'll go in the order that they've got it. How does that sound?
Sounds good to me.
All right. First game I think is interesting. It's a team that we expected to be better than they actually were, and a team that started red hot that ended up cooling off. We have the Baltimore Ravens at the Tennessee Titans. Lamar Jackson versus Derrick Henry, 2 of the most exciting players in the game. Obviously, the Ravens were expected to be at least competitive for the AFC North. Didn't exactly happen. The Titans came into the season expecting to compete for a playoff spot and then start out like 6-0. But ended up fizzing out a little bit after multiple COVID tests. Or COVID cases, not tests. What are you guys' thoughts on this? We got electrifying Lamar Jackson versus everyone's favorite stiff arm, Derrick Henry. It should be a good game.
It's going to be an excellent game. It's a rematch of last year, where the Titans stunned the Ravens, who were the top seed. Obviously Ravens have struggled a little bit more this year, but they have gotten hot of late. They're both teams that have a lot of swag on both sides of the ball. It's going to be a run-heavy game, definitely. This is one of my favorite matchups that I'm looking forward to this weekend. I think it's going to be very fun to watch. I don't think it's going to be one-sided. I think it's going to come down to the last minute. I think it's a good matchup as far as their strengths and weaknesses go. Titans have gotten gashed on the run, and Lamar is going to take full advantage of that. Ravens have struggled a little bit here and there against both the run and the pass at times, even though they're supposed to be a good passing defense. I think Derrick Henry's a monster no matter what your run defense looks like, and the Titans are obviously going to take full advantage of that and obviously run a lot of their play action. I can't wait for this matchup.
So, Ryan Tannehill on the season, 65.5% completion percentage, which is really good. 3,819 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Now, in an average year, that would be an MVP contender with those stats. Especially that 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. That's almost 5-1. He's not even the MVP favorite for his team because of Derrick Henry. So, a lot of people giving Derrick Henry a lot of credit, saying he's carrying the team, clearly aren't paying attention to that almost 5-1 touchdown to interception ratio that Ryan Tannehill's got going on, plus that almost 4,000 yards. Ryan Tannehill. I mean, the Tennessee Titans can kill you in many ways. If Derrick Henry isn't stiff-arming the shit out of you, those wide receivers are outrunning you and making absurd catches all over your secondary.